What a difference a few weeks make, and have AEW already buried a new talent before they've even got going. Well, we're going to talk about all that and more on the Dynamite review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, of course, your host, the only host, Adam Cousins. Before we get to that, there's been some rumors circulating online that HBO prevented Brody King from appearing this week due to the fuck ice chants that we heard last week on the show. Um, what an unusual, well, not unusual because we've seen it before. They never let Mark Jay Briscoe on their television screens either because of stuff that happened before. We know stuff that with Trey Miguel prevented him from, well, they released him near enough as when AEW signed him. So Brody King unable to appear this week. Rumors are that is, and I'll be checking during the show just to see if it is true or not. In terms of the rumors that they basically prevented him from appearing on the show, I would like to think not. Um, Mainly because this is the guy that's going for the World Heavyweight Championship this coming Saturday at Grand Slam Australia. Is he going to win it? Unlikely. But still, fact of the matter is, you don't have your number one contender appearing on a show right before their big show, their big moment at Grand Slam Australia. So for me, a little bit skeptical about that. But look, they have their reasons, and that is what it is, so to speak. We can't say anything more than that. We don't even know if it's true, but it was reported. So it's reported. We'll talk about it. Anyway, look, let's get to the nooks and crannies of Dynamite, shall we? Kenny Omega starts the show with a really good promo. Him and Swerve. This is kind of getting to a Hangman Swerve style feud between the two, and you know Kenny, it's fantastic to see Kenny Omega back. Hopefully, he's as well as can be. We know obviously diverticulitis is a really bad injury to have, and the fact that he's on our television screens every week right now, it doesn't have to be wrestling, but the fact that he's on our television screens this week is fantastic. He did call himself the god of pro wrestling, but he did say that wasn't a phrase that he gave himself. It was a phrase that the people gave him as Swerve Strickland was in the ring. And he did accuse Swerve of costing him an opportunity at the World Championship. And he made it clear that he was looking for a fight. And well, they did. They brawled everywhere. This was a great start to Dynamite. I really love this. They were brawling everywhere, spilled into the crowd, onto the security table, all around the arena. Omega got hit with a trash can in this. They made their way to the stage. Swerve got hit on the LED screen. But as Omega was going for the one-winged angel, Swerve counters. And he spiked him with an object, actually, and then sent the cleaner into the production tables, which was this was just an explosive way to start Dynamite. And again, when you start a show like that, you watch it because it's just so well done. I sat there and I was like, well, I'm going nowhere for the next 2 hours. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed the start. These two, like I said, I mentioned the Hangman Swerve feud that went on for a few years, and how they just found a way of being more violent and doing more heinous acts, burning down houses, stapling their tongue, putting stuff, basically committing murder, for want of a better phrase. Brilliant. And I'm really looking forward to these guys getting it on. I really, really am. It's going to be great. Really looking forward to it. Um, However, we go backstage to Cole Fletcher, who's got a shot at Tommaso Ciampa for the TNT Championship, and he plans to return home to Australia as TNT champion. Well, we'll find out later on in the show. But first bit of action, and it's trios action, and AEW does trios matches like no other company. I will give that to them. And this was the Death Riders, Moxley, Claudio, and Pac, and they were going against the Don Callis family, notably, not all of them, because that would have been very unfair. Konosuke Takeshita, Josh Alexander, and Mark Davis. And they always, I mean, like I said, they always deliver these trio matches, and tonight was no exception. It was a barn burner. It was nuts. The closing stretch of this match is probably one of the best closing stretches I've ever seen. The Don Callis family were basically barraging Moxley in their offense, and in the end, and to get to the end of it, Moxley had to go up, and it was just brilliant that he planted Josh Alexander with the Death Rider, and the Death Riders won this match. Now, it's a bit of an interesting conundrum here with AEW, with the Death Riders and the Don Callis family. I was a little bit disappointed that Josh Alexander ate the pin. And I'm a little bit concerned with Josh Alexander in AEW, to be quite honest with you. I expected big things from him when he went there. I know it's early, I know things can change, but it's like we always say on this channel when we're talking about pinfalls. If you keep eating pins, your stock just crashes. Josh Alexander, he had that match with Kenny Omega not too long ago on AEW, and it was brilliant. And he lost that one as well. He can't keep losing matches. He certainly can't keep eating pinfalls. And I hope that we get to see more of Josh, because Josh Alexander, pound for pound, there ain't many, if any, better in AEW than Josh Alexander. Going on to the Death Riders, it's still a conundrum. We are all expecting them to turn on Mox at some point. It's just when. We still don't know when that's going to be. But Moxley winning the match and getting the pinfall was the right call, because he goes to Grand Slam Australia's champion. You can't have your champion at too much of a disadvantage going into Grand Slam Australia. Without disrespect to Mark Davis, I think he should have been the one that took the pin. Just because right now he's kind of, again, he's in a bit of limbo at the moment. Mark Davis, the injury to, obviously, to Jake Doyle, Jake something we're going to call him, has really kind of scuppered the plans there. So I think it would have made a bit more sense him eating the pinfall than Josh Alexander. Maybe, hey, listen, you guys can tell me what you think on that. But that's me. But in terms of this match, it was great. Fantastic way to start the contest. And in from there, another member of the Don Callis family, Carl Fletcher, goes up against Tommaso Ciampa for the TNT championship match. And wow, I said at this show, have AEW buried a talent already? 12 days, two defenses, Tommaso Ciampa no longer the TNT champion. Did Agent Australia pay into Cole Fletcher winning this match? Probably. But they knew they were going there 12 days ago. So why didn't Cole Fletcher win the TNT championship back? Sorry, off of Briscoe. I think I know why, but to me, you could have done a triple threat. You could have done something else. The match itself, Jesus. This was Tommaso Ciampa. I don't even go back to his NXT Black and Gold days. I don't think I've seen a better match in Tommaso, and that's not because he hasn't been. He had some tremendous matches in NXT Black and Gold. This one was better, in my opinion, all of it, and he lost it. Have they buried him already? There's a question for you guys. Or is there an ulterior motive here? And let me just circle back to Briscoe and Fletcher. They're tied at three apiece. So they got to have their number seven, right? So that's happening now. We know it's happening. Their rubber seven match is going to be a ladder match. So that is happening. We know that. Here's my theory regarding Tommaso Ciampa. And it involves two people that are not currently with AEW. It goes to Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Two people who I don't know when their contracts are up, but they must be coming up, I reckon, pretty soon. The reason I say that is my belief is that Gargano and LeRae, uh, definitely Gargano, will end up in AEW, and we may get two things. The tag team of Gargano and Ciampa in AEW will certainly be better than the championship of Gargano, or tag team of Gargano and Ciampa in WWE, without a doubt. Whether Candice LeRae joins him in there, I don't know. And also, we could end up getting the Gargano Ciampa feud in AEW, and I'll be all up for that. So, in my opinion, have AEW buried Ciampa already? No. I am fully confident Tommaso Ciampa is going to be a success in AEW. I just think there was two ulterior motives behind that defeat. Number one, the the Grand Slam Australia match that's coming up makes a lot of sense. I still think they could have done that sooner. They could have had Briscoe involved in a triple threat early. But anyway, with that being said, two prone attack here. Number one, Grand Slam Australia. Number two, Gargano and LeRae coming over to AEW, and then they don't need Ciampa as champion. There's my theory on it. But have they buried him? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. What I do know is All In 2026 was, well, listen, it was officially announced about 2 years ago, but tickets are going on sale March 20th, 10 a.m. over here in the UK, very early over in the States for that. And I'm really looking forward to All In. We are All In. We'll be there. Hitting the turnbuckle will be there. We hope that Cruising with Kayfabe and Gary Joe make it over as well, so we can meet them for the very first time properly instead of over a camera. It'd be great to see you guys there. Make sure you get your tickets, guys. It's going to be a great, great show. All In 2026. Now, tag match next on AEW, which Orange Cassidy, Roddy Strong versus Clark Connors and Daniel Garcia. The interesting part of this was Roderick Strong walking out on Orange Cassidy during this match, which he did. The bit that I was a little bit thingy about was the end of this. Roderick Strong was crazy. I mean, he left that, made Orange fend for himself in the middle of the match. Um, the fact that Orange Cassidy still won the match, he pinned Danny Garcia. He kind of reversed the sharpshooter into a roll up. I don't know. I'm not quite sure I agree that Orange Cassidy comes out on top here. I know that he's got a match coming up with Tony Storm against Wheeler and Marina Shafir. And the loser has to have their hair cut. We'll get into that in a second. Clark Connors has just signed for AEW. Okay, he didn't eat the pin, but he lost. I'm not sure that was the right call for this match. I enjoyed the match. The match quality is never a letdown. I'm just not certain the victory was right, in my opinion. I think Connors and Garcia, the man advantage, should have counted for more in this. However, Orange Cassidy picks up the victory, and then probably the part that we always look forward to. Out comes the timeless one herself, Tony Storm. Um, I love the fact that she called Marina Shafir mixed martial asshole and Wheeler Yuta the annoying little shit. I thought that was great. But they got interrupted by Yuta and Marina, who had Mina. Fuck, that's a lot of names. And she got caught in the mother's milk submission as Wheeler Yuta cut her hair. So that kind of tells me, with that being said, that kind of tells me that Yuta and Shafir are losing the match at Grand Slam Australia this weekend. That's how I feel. I still feel Yuta's the one to get the haircut. I could be wrong, but that's my assumption. That's where I'm leaning towards. I think now they've done that to no, Jesus, sorry about my light, by the way. I feel as if now they've done that, it kind of hints that the way they're going is just who. Really, Yuta for me, shave gets his head shaved. That's where I'm going for that. You guys, up to you. Anyway, um, Hangman and Andrade, some two great. We hear from them both. backstage, of course, following their wins last week. Um, Andrade is AEW World Champion. Could happen. Could happen. But Hangman really wanted to face Omega. Hangman was wanting Omega in this. He really did. Obviously at Grand Slam Australia. But it's going to be out of Hangman and Andrade. The winner takes on MJF at Revolution. I think it's going to be Hangman. That's my opinion. Anyway, Jet Speed though they also agree. They've said that they will Hangman and Page will become a double champion as they of course of the trios championships, and they even tease going for single gold themselves, which is interesting. But they did get the opportunity. They would get the opportunity later date for they want the tag team opportunity as well. Sorry. Anyway, the young now we get to the number one contendership. I'll get it words out in a minute, guys. Number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Now, this was going to be the Young Bucks against the Rascals against the Wild Card. Well, the Wild Card was Private Party. Lots of rumors about their futures, but they are on Dynamite this week. There's been a lot of talk that there's a NXT and everything else has been interested, but Private Party, first match since the January 2022nd, 2025, over a year since we've seen Private Party in there. So it's the Rascals, it's the Young Bucks, it's Private Party, it's number one contendership for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I'll say this, the Rascals fit in AEW like a glove. They are tailor-made for AEW here. And obviously, the winners of this match would go on to face FTR. But yeah, this is those guys are great. It's great to see Private Party back. This was great. This match was brilliant. Again, my one small criticism of this match is the fact that they pinned the Rascals. So a springboard power driver on Myron Reed in this match. At the end of this, obviously, the Young Bucks go to speak. FTR come out. They start going crazy. They did tease hitting the super kick on Stokely Hathaway, which they did. But they placed the tag team titles on his shoulders instead. Damn. But going back to what I was talking about, we mentioned this about Ciampa. I mentioned this about Alexander. I know Alexander's been there a little while longer, but it's still the same. There's still the same predicament here. Having the Rascals eat a pin earlier, I could have understood Private Party eating the pin, right? I could have understood that regardless that they haven't been on AEW in over a year. I get it. Having the Rascals eat the pin so early on in their careers, again, it's a case of being careful. They won their parking lot brawl match the other week on Collision. But I just think that they've got to be careful they're not eating pins every single week. It's early, they've got time, but caution here because, again, you look at the Josh Alexanders, you look at the Mark Davises, and I know there's an injury there, but you keep it. This is the same thing like Wheeler Yuta and Danny Garcia, right? They keep eating pins, the stock levels. And then when you want to try and push him, you're like, well, Wheeler Yuta, Danny Garcia got pinned from Orange Cassidy when it was a 2-on-1 in their favor. So they've got to be careful that they don't fall into this trap. Now, of course, you can't win every single week, granted. But I just feel that them pinning Private Party would have been better, in my opinion. Just my opinion, would have been better. But hey, they didn't. It was a great match, right? Let's not take away the quality of the match. The match was fantastic. And by the way, big up Jay Joshua, Rev Pro champion, by the way. Just one wearing his shirt. Totally irrelevant to what we're saying on here. But yeah, great win for the Bucks. They go against FDR. That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. Pinning Private Party, in my opinion, would have been a bit more, kept the Rascals strong. Never, they didn't. But FDR and the Young Bucks again, yeah, happy days. Take my money. Another thing you can take my money on is seeing Will Ospreay again. Another little montage about Ospreay and his training. He's getting there, and we can't wait to have Brav back in AEW. Can't wait. Honestly, can't wait. Women's World Championship strap match, by the way. Fekler and Statlander. Um, yeah, I'm not okay. Let's just cut to the meat and the bones of this. Fekler won and become the new AEW Women's Champion. Statlander's reigns, whenever she's had reigns of chat or championship reigns, haven't been great, and it's a shame. By the way, no issue. Fekler winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, Women's World Championship. You know, I just feel that the timing of it, and it seems to happen when they're in. I think it's in California, and I think Statlander's reigns have all ended in California, so probably a prologue there. I'm just feeling as if it was just getting started with Stat, and it's always been that way. It's like the rain is, and then she drops it, she drops it, she gets it, she drops it when it's just, I'm not a fan of quick title reigns anyway. No problem with the win, no problem with Fekler winning it. She's great, and the other thing was she won the match, and then the Sisters of Sin come out, and they started beating her down. That brought out the new team of Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter, which I've got no problem with. They made the save, and you probably guess they're going to go to a six-women match later down the line. Was it necessary after Fekler had already won the world championship? I don't know. I really don't know. I just think Statland has never been cemented in the women's division the way that she should be. And this was another prime example of that. It felt like they were burying a lot of that. I'm going to say the word bury because I've just said they haven't buried Ciampa, but and this was the main event, by the way. Yeah, again, the match quality was there. It was great, but again, I'm not sure if the winners were right because a loss wouldn't have damaged Fekler in a strap match. And I talked about how important it is to keep people solid and keep people strong. And I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself here because Fekler eating a defeat, would that have lowered her stock levels? I don't think it would have done. I really don't. And again, it's like I've mentioned before, Statlander, her reigns as champion when she's been champion. I mean, like she beat Cargill, if I remember rightly. She was the one that beat Jade Cargill. And that reign wasn't great. And then she won them, and then she beat Monet. If you look at the people that she's beaten to win these championships, I mean, Monet and Cargill were the ones that she beat. I think it was no, was it? No, it wasn't Monet. It wasn't. Oh, who cares? Right, just ignore me. Right. Anyway, point I'm trying to get at is Statlander's reigns have never been there. She's never established herself as champion, in my opinion. My opinion, of course. Like I said, it's always my opinion. Agree, disagree. And I just think that's damaged it a bit. And then Fekler as champion, no drama. I can't wait for her. I hope she gets a good reign as champion. I really, really do. I hope it's quite. Listen, 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months tops. Fekler, no problem. That would be great. I hope that she gets as long enough reign, and I hope that she puts some good defenses on along the way. But for me, Statlanders, they've never really established her as a champion. And that's a shame because she's really, really good. I don't want to end it negatively. Look, this episode of Dynamite was really, really good. I enjoyed the majority of this. Yeah, Danielson on commentary is great still, by the way. Ciampa and Fletcher, just go out your way to watch that, regardless of what you think of the finish. Go out of your way to watch that match. It is brilliant. I absolutely love it. Some of these matches for me had the wrong people getting pinned. Maybe the finishes were wrong, but nevertheless, don't let that take away um, what a great Dynamite it was as we move to Grand Slam Australia this week. And just remember, 20th of March, get your all-in tickets for All in London. We'll be back tomorrow with the Impact review. Make sure you come and watch that. Check the Righteous out. They've just dropped interview with Vincent Dutch, former AEW stars, of course, in TNA now. Go and check that out as well. Until then, everybody, though, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Stay elite, stay safe, and goodbye.